everyone, this is Tyler from Tyger Threads. I'm here with Turk Fickling at Renafit Studios, and we're just going to go over some things today. I filmed Turk training one of his clients today, Carol. Yeah. Put her through one of her first leg workouts with him, legs and triceps. So what we're going to do is just kind of go over. Turk, how long have you been training yourself and training clients?
Let's see. I've been training myself for about a long time.
A long time. Don't want to put a number on it.
I don't want to give out that number there. Just to say it's a long time. I've been training clients for over 25 years.
25 years. Wow, yeah. That's impressive. Very cool. And what's your approach to training and training other people?
You know, I used to train a lot of different training styles, as we all probably have. Volume, POF training, high intensity, and anybody who's a competitor knows that your biggest attribute to being successful is consistency. Mm-hmm. And you can't be consistent if you're home nursing an injury.
Right.
So after having my fair share of injuries over the many years, still not going to give that number away, by the way.
No numbers.
I realized that I needed to be as consistent as I can. So I needed to come up with a training style that was going to be effective, give me the muscle hypertrophy that I'm looking for, and minimize injury. And I think that I've accomplished that. And it's taken me the better part of 15 years to come up with TTP training.
Okay.
And TTP training encompasses my entire training philosophy, which essentially is this. My small body parts, bi, tri, shoulder, chest, calves, I'm doing anywhere from 2 to 4 sets total, not per exercise.
Wow. That's a lot less than a lot of people would think.
Absolutely. But you got to also keep in mind that a set is representative of a single movement. It could be a compound set, it could be a giant set, it could be a super set. All of those fall under the umbrella of 2 to 4.
Gotcha. Very good.
My goal is always trying to number one, stay in that parameter of 2 to 4. But more importantly, I'm trying to make the workout more efficient each time I'm training. So each time I'm training, instead of me trying to add more to it, I'm actually trying to do less.
Okay.
In my mind, if I do a arm workout and it took me 3 sets to kill my bi and my tri, that next arm workout, I'm going to try to kill it in 2.
Okay.
So that means that I'm going to have a heck of a lot higher intensity in my focus.
Absolutely.
And how I'm pushing out those reps.
Okay, so a much different approach. I like it.
I've done a lot of volume training, 3-4 sets per exercise. And what I found in training like that is you only go so far, and then you just run into this wall, this wall of plateau. And then after that, the workout becomes kind of stagnant when you don't feel anything. And then what you do, like everybody does, is you add more stuff thinking that that's the answer. And then when you add more stuff, it just becomes even more frustrating because now you're doing all this extra work and then you're not getting any additional results out of it. So, in my mind, I think of it like this. If we already know from science tells us that the only way that the whole process of muscle hypertrophy can begin is if the muscle goes to failure and you break down the muscle fiber. Well, if that's the case, then I'm only going to do that once. Because if I don't, then when do you call it good? When is the magic number if it's not 1? Mm-hmm. Because if 3's better than 2, then I might as well do 4. And if 4 is better than 3, then I might as well do 5. Where does that end? Well, I'm not trying to do 10 sets for everything for each exercise and then wind up having a 2-hour workout, everything that I do. So the mindset is really different. The most important element, I would have to say, to training like this, and the biggest thing that I think puts me apart from a lot of other trainers, is form and technique. I am a huge stickler on form and technique.
Absolutely.
Especially if I'm going to do 1 set to failure. Not only do I have to execute that movement right, but I have to make sure that I'm not involving any muscle groups. How many times have you done a lat pull down and then felt that in your bis after you got done with the set? Exactly. So I am not trying to feel anything other than my back when I'm doing a lat pull down. I'm not trying to feel it in my buys, because if I feel it in my buys, that means I'm doing something wrong. I don't care what anybody else says or any other trainer says. You ain't supposed to be feeling it in your buys, period.
Absolutely.
If you do, you ain't doing it right.
Yeah.
So first thing that I'm going to do is overhaul my client's forming technique to make sure that not only that they're doing it in a sound way, but that they feel this in a way that is unmistakable, because we're not going to work together forever. So when I finally do say, hey, you're ready to try this on your own, I encourage you to work out on your own.
Right.
You now know the proper form and technique for the movements that we've been doing, not because I taught you, but because you now feel a distinct difference between the way you're doing it now and the way that you used to do it.
Absolutely.
And because you know the distinct difference between the two, you should never ever be able to revert back to the old bad habits that you used to do before you met me.
Again, back down, back down, back down. Again. Don't cheat me. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Focus. Be patient. Come on. It'll come. Let's go. You're doing it. Last two. Deep one. Yeah. One more. Last one. Deep. Everything you got. Everything. Nice. How you feel?
That's good. That was fun.
I don't usually have people say it's fun after they're done with this. Like, I might have to reevaluate my workout protocol now.
What else is there to do, right? Good.
Oh, great job.
When you bring up those different training styles, and when I've watched you train other people before, and when I've been in the gym with you, I've seen you more or less. You're big on pain. Having, it's a good pain.
Just like your shirt says, bro. Learn to fail.
That's right.
Learn to fail.
That's right. So
if you ain't failing, you ain't growing.
There we go. I think that's as simple as that, really.
Yeah.
I think that it's, for me at least, it's for everyone. I mean, you have to learn what failure is for you, and really push that limit.
And that's a good point. So the other piece to this that I have to teach my clients, they have to be aware of what their instinctive level is at. In other words, when we're doing a set, I ask all of my clients this. On a scale of 0 to 100, pretend your muscle is a balloon that's being filled up with blood. You feel this pump growing. Mm-hmm. At some point, that pump is going to be at capacity, meaning you ain't going to get any more out of it, right? You got to know what that limit is. Mm-hmm. If you know what that limit is, then you'll never go beyond it, so you don't have to worry about overtraining. And I know I'm skipping ahead because you have a question about overtraining.
We can lead into that.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Overtraining to me is when you're doing something like 4 or 5 exercises, 4 or 5 sets, you got to ask yourself, did you get anything more out of set 3 than you did set 4? Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel a bigger pump, a bigger burn, something, then there's a good chance that you're probably already tapped out. So why do sets 4 and 5 and 6 or however many sets that you're going to do?
Right.
You ain't getting more out of it.
Right.
You're kind of just wasting time, really.
And what do you? Yeah, absolutely. And what do you say? What's your approach and take on some people saying, okay, I'm going to stop at set 3 because I don't want to overtrain. I hear that, frequently, that people don't want to overtrain. Is that something people should even be concerned about?
It is, because number one, if you're trying to grow, mm-hmm. then you definitely want to be aware of overtraining.
Okay.
If you want to burn calories and you want to do 4 and 5 sets, and you want to do 20 reps, and you want to do lightweight, you're not going to overtrain. You're going to burn a shitload of calories, and that's probably what your intent was, because you probably want to lose weight or whatever. That's cool. But if you're trying to grow, you better be very limited on what you're doing and how you're doing it. You only have a certain amount of glycogen in your muscle cells and in your liver to work with. And once you use all that up, it's pretty much done. Yeah. So you want to work within that capacity so that way you're not overdoing it. And that's one way of check and balance of whether or not you are overdoing it.
Right, absolutely. Very good. So some very good training techniques and approaches from Turk. One more thing that I want to touch on. I know one of your big specialties is posing. And I know we talked. I mean, what we've talked about so far is it can be applied to someone who's competing or not. Posing is towards someone who's wanting to compete, and maybe touch on the importance of posing. And a lot of people, they might think about posing too far out from a show and not have it dialed in, and not be able to display the work that they put in. So, what's your take on that?
Posing can never be overstated. Simple as that.
Yeah, you can't overpose.
I grew up watching Lee Labrada, Ed Corney, Arnold, Lee Haney, guys that actually took pride in their posing. Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, Kevin Larone. I mean, these guys, it's a night and day difference from how the pros are performing nowadays.
Sure.
In fact, I'll even share this with you. A buddy of mine, Randy Sebastian, went down to the Olympia this past summer, and he probably will get mad at me for saying this, but he fell asleep in the night show at the Mr. Olympia.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is a bodybuilder who fell asleep. You know why he fell asleep? Because the shit was boring. I was ready to leave. I mean, I'm not going to come and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a ticket to see a bunch of big-ass dudes on stage going like this. That's not posing.
Right.
I mean, posing is an art.
It is. Absolutely.
You bust your ass and you do all this work to look the best that you've ever looked, and then you don't put any time in your posing, and you look like a fucking robot on stage. Can I say that?
Go for it.
Oops, sorry.
Unedited.
You look like a robot on stage. That's not appealing. That's not art.
Yeah.
So, especially now with the way that the trend is going now, the NPC just created the physique class for men.
Classic physique, yep.
Arnold and J.M. Mannion both said that we're definitely going to overhaul the criteria for posing now for the pros, and I'm sure that's going to trickle down to the amateur level. So, guys and gals, if you haven't put a lot of energy and time into your routine and your presentation, you better start, because it's going to count, and they're going to count.
Yeah, something to say about being proud of the way that you present all the hard work that you put in.
Yep.
I mean, that's when I competed one time, and when I did compete, that was probably the most nerve-wracking part for me. But looking back at it, I was so glad that I put some time into it and really refined not only my routine, but when I was posing, you know.
You know what, T? It's nerve-wracking for anybody who's going to do this for the first time. But let me ask you this: think back to when you were in grammar school, and you had your first big test that you were probably stressing about, and it just so happens that test you were prepared. You knew the answers. Your teacher prepared you well.
That's right.
Come day of the test, you're not that scared. You're not that nervous. You're not anything.
No, you see the
know,
test,
you're
and
ready.
Say, hey, I know these questions.
So again, that goes with preparation. If you got a good coach, knows what the hell they're doing, they'll have you prepared. So by the time show comes rolling around, you ain't nervous. You ain't stressed out. You're excited. You're wanting to get on stage and show what you got and wow the crowd, because you're ready.
Absolutely.
And that's the best feeling in the world.
Absolutely.
Trust me on that.
Definitely. So Turk, thank you for your time. How can they get a hold of you? How can our viewers get a hold of you?
Absolutely. If you want to get in touch with me, if you had any questions, or you want to talk about consultation, diet, training, rehab, or anything pertaining to fitness, you can contact me in several different ways. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my website, which is ttptraining.com. Turk Fickling at Gmail is my email address, and you have my number on my website as well.
Very good, perfect.
And you'll also find me here at Rhino Fit.
Absolutely. So thank you to Rhino Fit Studios for allowing us to film, and you can find all of our gears at www.tygerthreads.com.
I want that shirt.
It's a nice shirt. Thank you.
I like that shirt.